Am I the asshole for telling my sister she was dating my biological father?
Hold on. Oh my God. What? I need time to process this.
She goes, I, 24 female, and the product of my mom having an affair. Fortunately, my dad decided to forgive my mom and keep me, and I had a pretty good upbringing. When I was 17, my mom took me out for ice cream and introduced me to my bio father. She said that she felt I was old enough to know the truth and explained about her affair, while also, A, making me promise I wouldn't tell my older sister, 27 female, in the present, and B, hammering home, along with my bio dad, that he'd never be a part of my life and didn't want me. It was a lot, I won't lie. Fast forward to the present. My big sister has always gravitated towards older men. And 2 months ago, she shared a picture of herself and her new boyfriend.
Oh my God.
Who, to my shock, turned out to be my biological father.
Story time, my best friend cheated on his girlfriend with me. So a little background information. So Gavin and I have been best friends ever since we were little. We lived in the same neighborhood, and my parents and his grandparents were, pretty close, I guess. But, everybody in our neighborhood was close with each other. And I always had a huge crush on him. And I would try to, subtly tell him that I liked him. But he would always be like, ew, don't joke with me like that. That's not true. And eventually, I just kind of got the hint that that was his way of telling me, I don't like you. Stop before I tell you, in a mean way. So when we were in middle school, he was always having these, 2-day relationships with all these girls and everything. And me, not so much, because sis didn't have a glow up until she reached, her sophomore year in high school. And the thing was, I wasn't that best friend who would be like, ew, don't date her, she's ugly, or anything like that. I would totally respect all of his relationships, even if they were 2 days long, but he would literally still block me. Well, the one day we were hanging out at his house, for part 2.
Story time about how I faked being pregnant for 6 months. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I repeat, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. I'm in my late 20s and I have a really successful career. I make plenty of money, I own my own house, and I have 2 cars. But I've always failed in relationships. I had a long-term relationship in my early 20s, but I broke up with him because he just wasn't pulling his weight. I paid for our extravagant lifestyle. He would basically help me with my work and then expect me to pay him. Also, I paid the rent, I paid for the cars, and I paid for every single dinner date we ever had. We also had a joint bank account, which was a huge mistake on my part, because ultimately I was the one earning all the money. After 4 years of dating, I decided to break up with him and I told him to move out of my house. I felt free and I started dating right away. I met this guy one night and he was amazing. He complimented me all the time and made me feel really good about myself. But here's the problem, I tend to fall in love really easily. After that night, that guy and I would talk every single day. He would come over to my place and we would have dinner, but the good thing about this
story time about how everyone thought I was a psychopath in school. So once I was friends with this girl named Nola. When I first joined high school, Nola was my only friend. She showed me around school and even helped me with homework. But considering how nice Nola was, she didn't have any friends except me. Nola was one of the nicest people I've ever met, so it was weird for her not to have any other friends. But I just brushed it off and didn't think about it. A month passes of me being friends with Nola, and one day in class, a girl comes up to me and asks me why I'm friends with the weird kid. I started defending Nola, and then the girl went back to her seat and started whispering to her friend. I got suspicious of why they asked me that, so I asked,
I'm pregnant and being investigated by the Department of Child Services.
Oh, man.
Hello, I'm a 29-year-old, happily married. My husband and I are college educated, have respectable, stable jobs, own a home in a nice neighborhood. We're basically as prepared as anyone can be to start a family. I'm almost 9 months pregnant with our first child. The problem is that 11 years ago, when my husband was a freshman in college, he was arrested for possession of marijuana. He pled guilty and did his time in probation without a problem, passing every drug test along the way. He has not touched any other illegal substance since, and we rarely even drink, and haven't at all in over a year. I have no criminal record. It was a stupid mistake he made as a foolish 18-year-old, and he's worked hard to put it behind him. Someone has apparently contacted Child Services in our area. This accusation is being taken very seriously because of my husband's record. We have been as cooperative as could be with our caseworker. We've been interviewed, our home has been examined, and she found nothing remotely serious or incriminating. We have both taken tests and passed. Our caseworker says everything looks just fine so far. Unfortunately, she also says that there's still the possibility that our child could be taken from us in the labor and delivery ward. I was devastated and horrified to hear that. When I asked why, she said it was, quote, not up to her, and we'll have to wait and see, which made absolutely no sense to me. I feel like there's something she isn't telling me, but I have no experience with DCS, and I'm not aware of anything we could have possibly done wrong. I'm scared and confused. Do I need a lawyer? Thanks for reading, and thanks in advance for your help. There's an update.
Okay.
Do you want me to just read the update first?
It sounds like you want to.
Say your comments, what you're thinking right away.
I don't have a comment. I think I have a question. I'm curious as to who reported that.
Very fishy. Very fishy, right?
Yeah.
I'll read the top comment on the post.
Okay.
And then
I got suspicious of why they said that, so I went and asked Nola. Nola, why did that girl just ask me why I'm friends with you? Do both of you have beef or something? Then Nola looks at me in the weirdest way and says no. I just said okay and went on with my day, but I was still really suspicious. Weeks pass by and Nola tells me that she wants to hang out, so I invite her over at my house. So she came and we started playing around, and she decided to go into my brother's room, and all I hear her say is, ew! I follow her upstairs and just see her staring down the window. She was looking at a dead baby pigeon, and since a lot of birds do nest there, it was
Story time about one of the worst customers ever. I got a new job at a coffee shop downtown. It was my first day out of training and I would be taking orders and making drinks on my own. I was a little nervous, but excited and ready to be by myself. Everything was going great until this woman came in. She came up to the counter and immediately noticed that I was new there. She said, I'm a regular and come in almost every day. Write my order down and save it so I don't have to explain it to you again next time. At first I thought she was joking, so I smiled and laughed, but then I quickly realized that she wasn't kidding. She proceeded to order a very complicated drink, which I didn't mind. I was up for the challenge. I made her drink and handed it to her with a smile. Without even trying it, she said the color was off and requested I remake it. When I turned around to try again, she said, don't mess it up this time. It's not rocket science. I remade the drink, and this time she picked it up and looked at it, didn't try it, and complained that I put too much caramel in it and asked if I was trying to make it fat. I remade the drink a third time, doing everything she requested. This time she actually tried the drink and immediately spit it back into the cup. She then told me that I'm horrible at my job, called me incompetent and lazy, and of course asked to speak to my manager. It only got worse from here.
Am I wrong for taking my friend to court after she kicked me out of the bridal party for cutting my hair? For my friend's 3-day wedding, I had to buy 3 different dresses, including alterations and specific shoes, which totaled over $700. She also wanted specific hairstyles for each day. Unfortunately, starting in March, my hair started to deteriorate. Due to health reasons, my hair was falling out in chunks, and in May, I made the difficult decision to cut my hair. I told the bride about my decision 2 weeks before the wedding, and she didn't say anything bad. The following week, she came over to my house, and when she was about to leave, she brought up that she was concerned about my haircut, and I told her it would look good even though I wouldn't be in uniform with the other bridesmaids. The following day, I received this message. After our recent conversations, I like to remind you of my boundaries. I've been very accommodating and graceful, but I cannot allow you to disrespect me. As you know, my wedding has been something I've dreamt of for many years. My husband and I have invested a lot of money into the video and photos of this day, and as we reflect on this day in the future, we want to see our vision reflected in the memories. Since I asked each of you to be my bridesmaids in 2019, I've been very clearly and very communicative in my request.
This is why you should never go for someone's looks. Once there was a man who married a woman with long black hair and brown eyes. He thought she was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, but soon things went terribly wrong. Over the years, her appearance changed, but he couldn't handle it. He didn't like that she gained weight or that her face now had wrinkles on it. For that reason, he quickly divorced her and found a different girl. This would be a horrifying mistake. The new girl was much younger and had long blonde hair. Within weeks, he married her, but as soon as they moved in, he noticed that she completely changed. She wasn't sweet and polite anymore. She became rude and used him for money. One night, he couldn't take it anymore. He got in his car, left left the city and drove back to his ex-wife's house. And what he saw there shocked him. The house was abandoned. He knocked on the door, but no one answered, so he went in. And there, sitting in their old bedroom, was his ex-wife with her long black hair covering her face. He hugged her and cried, explaining how he regretted leaving her. And that's when she said, "I'm glad you're back, if only for a moment." The man said, "What do you mean? I'm back for good. We can spend our lives together." Then he brushed her hair out of her face and screamed. All that's left was a skull. That's when the man looked down and realized he'd been holding nothing but a pile of bones in his hands.